terms that that young man is having trouble cutting the what? Apron strings, right? Am I the only one that's ever heard that adage? What is being said? That a young man is having trouble rightly leaving his father and mother and giving undivided loyalty and intimacy to his wife. That's the idea of that. Conversely, and this is especially parents in our congregation here that have young children that will soon be of marrying age. I think another problem in our culture is parental intrusion into the intimacy of this marriage relationship. Sometimes it's the mothers and the fathers that have difficulty letting go of the child and allowing the child to be properly wedded to and bonded to and have the proper intimacy and loyalty that they should have with their spouse. The parents sometimes try to intrude into those relationships in a way that God never intended. That relationship between a man and his parents is to be such that the man leaves the loyalty and the intimacy that he shared with his parents, and he devotes that loyalty and that intimacy to his wife. I understand that I'm not saying here, Scripture doesn't contradict itself. We are to still honor our parents. But our loyalties and our intimacies now lie primarily with our spouses in the marriage union. Not only is a man to leave his father and mother, the Scripture says here that he is to hold fast or to cleave, as the King James Version puts it. He is to cleave or to hold fast to his wife. And this whole cleaving and holding fast thing is far too tame an interpretation for what it meant in the original Hebrew. In the Hebrew, it meant, in its most literal sense, that a man should stick to his wife. A man should so stick to his wife, and that relationship and that intimacy should be so close and so personal that when you look upon that relationship, you see what? One flesh. It's a melding together of lives in such a way that we are stuck so closely together with our spouses that we're indistinguishable from them. That's the language that the Hebrew is using here. Now, to show you how powerful that language is, look at how this language is used repeatedly in relation to the nation of Israel and their relationship with God. Look at Deuteronomy chapter 10 and verse 20. You shall fear the Lord your God, and you shall serve Him, and what? Hold fast. It's the same word that is used in Genesis 2:24. You shall stick to your God. You shall cling so closely to your God that you are indistinguishable from Him. That was God's instruction to Israel. You shall hold fast to Him, and by His name shall you swear. What is He saying here? Remember, this is the Deuteronomy, the Deuteronomy passages that are instructing the nation of Israel that's going to go in and take possession of the land of Canaan. What was the great danger in the land of Canaan for the nation of Israel? Other gods. The Canaanite gods. And what is God's instruction here? Stick close to me. Draw near to me. Be so intimate with me that we're indistinguishable, and that your relationship with me is always to the exclusion of other gods. Now take that language and put it back into Genesis chapter 3, chapter 2, verse 24. What is being communicated there? When we hold fast to our spouses, we do so with such closeness and such intimacy that it is always to the exclusion of all others. You see that? It's tremendous truth, tremendous teaching in these passages. This is speaking to the monogamous nature of the marriage relationship, the marriage union. We are married to the exclusion of all others. We're united in a covenant relationship. Just as Israel was in a covenant relationship with God, so we are in a covenant relationship in our marriages. The idea, this is so lost in our culture today. You know, you hear nowadays of private weddings, do you not? Do you realize how antithetical that is to the biblical teaching on marriage? There's nothing about marriage that is private. It is a covenant joining together of two individuals. And how are covenants made? Publicly. They're made publicly before God and before each other. It's a public declaration that we are aligning ourselves, we are joining ourselves, and we are giving allegiance and loyalty to one spouse, to one another. That's your leaving and your cleaving. Sticking to the exclusion of all others. Leaving those near relationships of father and mother to give complete loyalty and total intimacy to our spouses. So this leaving and cleaving, I believe, includes a publicly stated declaration of intention, a publicly stated reorganization of relationships in which a man and his wife pledge exclusive loyalty and intimacy to one another. So what is the purpose? What is the purpose of this exclusivity? Why this exclusivity? Well, it really goes back. Now look at what the passage is saying here. Therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. They shall become one flesh. What is the purpose of this one flesh union? This melding together, if you will, of two lives with such depths of intimacy that the two lives become indistinguishable separately and are seen as one flesh. What is God's purpose for that? Well, it goes back to Genesis chapter 1, verse 28. When God created man, male and female, He created man, and God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it and have dominion in it. What was the purpose of this one flesh union? It was for multiplication. It was for filling the earth with children. It was for subduing and having dominion in the earth through the multiplication of seed. And in a passage that most all of you are familiar with, in Malachi chapter 2, verse 15, God states this very plainly. Did He not make them one? Did He not make the first man and the first woman and every subsequent marriage since then? Did God not make them one flesh? That's what the passage in Genesis just told us, is it not? They shall become one flesh. Did not God make them one with a portion of the Spirit in their intimate union? And what was God's purpose in that? What was God seeking in that? Godly offspring. That was the purpose of the exclusivity of this relationship. So that a man and a woman, forsaking all others, come together in such bonds of intimacy and unity, and they begin to produce offspring. And what is the purpose of that offspring? To subdue and have dominion in the earth. And we're going to, in some future lessons here, tie this back in to the whole temple expansion motif that we saw